everyone, welcome to my channel, The Bird's Nest. It's June, and with June means that Father's Day is coming up. So with that, we think about how we support our dads, because dads suffer too, and they deserve recognition, especially on this holiday that is going to be so difficult. After our daughter died, my husband, I can't remember if he received this book or if we bought this book, but I kind of remember him reading it in the hospital, and it's called A Guide for Fathers When a Baby Dies by Tim Nelson. And it's a small book, and most of the books I've seen for dads are smaller, but I feel like that can be a good thing because, you know, guys don't tend to delve so deep into their emotions and want to just read for hours and hours and hours about it. And I feel like this book does a really, really good job in touching on those emotions, but in a faster way so that your husband or partner doesn't get kind of turned off by the whole thing. So my husband is a reader. He does like to read, but in the emotions of when you first lose your baby, he didn't feel like it. He just didn't want to. I wanted to. He didn't want to. But this book was actually perfect for him. So this husband, Tim, and their wife had a stillborn baby as their second child. And after that, he wrote an article in the newspaper called A Father's Story. And then after that, he just was volunteering a lot with families that lost their baby, writing things, and he wrote this book. So it's kind of a guide. It starts off with a little letter from him to the dad, and then it starts, boom, the early hours of losing your baby. So I really feel like this is a very important book to give right when somebody loses their baby. I think that's more what it's meant for, but it does have good things in here for beyond that. But men are very doers, usually, and they need some direction in this. When this happens, a lot of partners, supporting partners, don't know what to do. They're like, how do I help? What do I do? And this book really helps. So it starts off with the early hours, that no one is ever prepared to experience this kind of grief that you are living at this moment. Be patient with yourself and your partner as you move forward. Take one step at a time. Seek input from the professionals around you, and let family and friends know what you need. It's very straightforward, and it has little bullet points in each chapter. Keep communicating with your partner so you can help relay her needs to caregivers. You may be able to ask questions of nurses, doctors, or clergy that she is not physically or emotionally able to. So it definitely touches on those logical things that this is your job as a supporting partner to do. This is what you can do to help. But it also touches a lot on the emotional side of things later in the book. First, it's do these things. She needs you to do these things. And then, are you listening to your feelings? So the next chapter is the arrangements of the things that actually need to be done. Funeral arrangements, medical arrangements, insurance, stuff like that. And the next chapter is going home and what that might mean for the partner that birthed the baby, and how you can be supportive to her, but also what that might mean for you. I mean, that can come up, a lot of unexpected emotions can come up with that. Try to think whether it would be easier to be alone when you arrive home, or if you would like to have friends and family around. Keep in mind that people cannot read your mind. Let them know what would be helpful to you, and be as specific as you can. Then there's a chapter all about going back to work, which I feel like the supporting partner does first. And that can be really, really tough for both the person going back to work and the person being left at home. It can be really, really a hard thing. Some people some guys sometimes tend to thrust themselves into work because it helps them distract them from their feelings and everything. But some people have a really hard time going back to work, and they don't feel like they're ready. Be realistic as to what you expect from yourself, especially at first. You are still likely to be experiencing deep grief and may be distracted, forgetful, and even unmotivated. These feelings are not unusual and will likely get better with time. It's I love the bullet points. You can read through this in 20 minutes. And the bullet points are very informative. They're all very helpful. There's no fluff in this book. This book is all substance and it's all important. Then it talks about anger, which is one of the steps that you encounter along on your grief journey. It's just natural, it's just normal. And it kind of addresses like how to address the anger, and also sometimes you might be disguising your anger or like throwing a blanket over it, and like it's okay to be like, I'm angry. This is how I feel. Especially as a man, sometimes I feel like you're like told to like control your anger, but it's okay to be like, I'm angry that this has happened. It also talks about communicating like as the months go on, which I find really important, because at the beginning it's like obviously like you need these are the things that you need to do at the beginning, and then as the months go on and even as like the years go on, there can be a divide in communication, and sometimes that's when you need each other the most, because the world has moved on, forgot about your baby. You'll never forget about your baby. Your partner will never forget about your baby. I think it's really important to work on that communication with each other as as the world continues to spin on, you know? You need that with each other. It talks about if your partner is to get pregnant again and what that means and how you can be supportive. While another pregnancy will bring something positive to focus on, it will also most likely stir anxieties. Don't think that your fears are silly or a sign of weakness. By talking about your concerns and sharing your excitement and anticipation, you will be able to reduce the stress considerably for both yourself and your partner. The book ends with a father's story, which is the story that he submitted to the newspaper, and it's a really beautiful story from a man's perspective, which we don't get a lot in detail. So I think that that's really awesome that that's in here. If you know someone who's going through a loss, or if you're going through a loss yourself, I highly suggest this book. If you know someone who's going through a loss right now, put it in the mail, send it to them. It's really, really important. So happy Father's Day to all of the dads that have to walk this earth without their baby, and I hope that you find a really special way to spend the day with your baby and honor them today.